Moving on now, the city of Portland is wrapping up its first month under a new voter-approved government structure. The old structure had elected politicians in charge of huge city agencies. The system created silos where people did not have to cooperate, and sometimes those agencies, called bureaus, ignored the wishes of the mayor or other leaders. Well, the new structure has 6 deputy city administrators over nearly every part of the city of Portland government. They answer to the city administrator, who right now is Mike Jordan. He said the new structure got off to kind of a rocky start the first week or so, but is now showing real results.
Well, a couple of kind of interesting coincidences. In the first week, we had the heat emergency here, and the mayor declared an emergency. And I will tell you, and I want to say some of this is because the county had done a better job also, but I've never had a more coordinated response to a weather emergency like that than we had there. And I think it was because we had the ability to simply reach out directly to bureaus, and they were immediately responsive. And so the coordination was just more fluid. It isn't that we didn't get that kind of cooperation in the past. It's just that it happened faster, and people were more responsive to when emergency management called and said, we need you here right now, and people would drop everything and move. And that hasn't always been the case with bureaus.
All right, so that's promising. Remember, the difference in the past was that each bureau had its own structure and its own political leader. Now that's gone. The mayor took charge of all the bureaus and then put them under the authority of the city administrator and his deputies. This is the new system that will officially become Portland's government on January 1st, but they started using it July 1st to practice and get it figured out before the new mayor and the council begin in 2025. Jordan said the worldwide computer issue earlier this week was another chance to test the new system.
And then we got a second little coincidental shot for another emergency last week with the cyber thing with Microsoft and the patch. And we literally were, because I think of the ability to engage with the Bureau of Technology Services, and then of course all the user bureaus, and communicate in a more consolidated way through the deputies to their bureaus, that we had emergency services up and running in almost no time. And in fact, we didn't miss any 911 calls. I will admit, we were taking calls on the phone and writing in notepads for about an hour. But we didn't drop any calls. The police were back up and running really quickly. And so we were able to deploy people very rapidly overnight to places like precincts and like to the Emergency Communications Center to be able to get those end user devices fixed really fast. And I just don't think we would have been that responsive in the past.
All right, now, of course, not everything is going perfectly smoothly. Jordan said one ongoing challenge is how to keep those city commissioners, those elected politicians, informed on what's happening with the bureaus that they used to control, while at the same time keeping them out of the way.
I think the commissioners as a group have been really good about the understanding that we have to start to work this system in a new way if we're going to be ready for January. So it isn't like anybody wants to stop anything. I think it's just old habits. People have been used to doing work a certain way with a set of bureaus that they had authority over. And there are a number of items, policy issues, project issues that have been in flight for a while. And the commissioners have been very involved in those things. And so how do we keep them involved and yet not have them directing work individually?
That's an ongoing issue. We wanted to bring you an update on that because we often point out the shortcomings of the city and the county, and I guess the state as well, because we believe that they can do better. And by putting scrutiny on them, sometimes we help nudge them along. It looks like the city of Portland is starting to do better. It's a hopeful update that makes me really optimistic about the future here. And yes, we'll keep a close eye on it and let you know if things take a turn for the worse. But right now, I got to say, it does sound like things are getting better. And speaking of the city's new form of government, you're looking at the list of candidates who at this point have qualified to have their name on the ballot for mayor in November. There are 9 candidates so far, with that number expected to grow. Campaign season is in full swing. It's expected to ramp up even more in the next few months. Let's take a look at the campaign finances. Renee Gonzalez has raised the most money through the city's small donor elections program, $167,000, and he's received 4 bigger donations over $1,000. Nancy Congdon, who has not yet qualified for the ballot, and Leave Otis have each taken in other big donations, just one, but their overall fundraising is much lower. Carmen Rubio has the highest number of individual donations, 1,173 people, for a total of $102,000. Keith Wilson is in 3rd place for the small donor funding, ahead of current City Commissioner Mingus Mapps, who is in 4th. Speaking of Mr. Mapps, his campaign is deeply in debt. He owes almost $8,000, but he's not the only one in the red. Both Nancy Congdon and Durrell Kinsey Bay have negative cash balances. Rubio, Gonzalez, and Wilson have the most cash on hand right now. There is still plenty of time for things to change, so we'll be keeping an eye on what happens in the next couple of months. The filing deadline is August 27th, so just over a month away from now. There's still time for other candidates to jump into the race for mayor. As for city council, well, we already know that one's going to be wild. Each district has a lot of people running. District 1, much of East County, has 10 candidates so far. District 2, which is North and Northeast Portland, has 8. District 3, much of Southeast Portland, has 11 candidates. And District 4, which is the west side, including downtown, has, get this, 21 candidates already. Each district will elect 3 people to the new 12-person council. Now, we talked today with the Portland City Club. They say that they are gearing up for a busy election season and planning some debates in the coming months. They say the change in government is giving the city much wider range of candidates.
We're going to have geographic diversity. I think we're going to have diversity in income of city council members. Traditionally, I think many folks on city council have been homeowners rather than renters. I think we're going to have diversity in every way imaginable, in terms of race, in terms of age, and it's going to give folks in Portland a real opportunity to engage in this election, in something brand new for us.
Speaking of brand new, for the first time, the city election will feature ranked choice voting. You can try it out for yourself. The City Club has an event coming up on August 6th at Lincoln High School. They'll be holding a mock election with ranked choice voting and then tallying the results right then and there so you can look at it and see how it all works. The event, by the way, is free. You can register at pdxcityclub.org.